Okay, well, it's 11:16. I know we were going to start at 11:15. I was seeing a lot of people bounce in to the town hall, so wanted to give you all a chance to get online. But welcome to, I think, the third town hall meeting that we've done here at Idaho State Athletics. Really glad to have such great attendance again and looking forward to answering questions. I'd just like to start by welcoming everyone and welcoming one person in particular that I would like to make sure and recognize, and that's Robin Sharp is here. She is our new Senior Associate Athletic Director for Internal Operations and Sports Performance and our SWA. And Robin comes to us having been the SWA at NAU as well as at Oregon State, and having an athletic career as a student athlete at Oregon State behind her as well, and many years of experience. And today is her very first day. So welcome, Robin.
Thanks, Pauline. I see a few familiar faces, Stuart and Ginny there. It's nice to be here. Thank you.
So we're getting her indoctrinated here already with plenty of work to do on day one. So a couple of things that I'll share is that we've had some things that feel an awful lot like progress happening lately in the department. Things have been going well. Just Friday evening, we finished a campaign, the Prepare to Roar campaign, that all of you have been, many of you in the department have been involved with, and some of you here from outside the department I know have been involved with as well. But it was extremely successful. We had initiated the campaign with a hope of raising $150,000 in 2 weeks. And when we hit 150,000 after about 4 days, we thought we should raise our goal. We raised it to 200,000 and ultimately raised over $260,000. So very, very pleased. A lot of us felt like doing a campaign right now during such a difficult time may or may not go well. And it might be a referendum on how people are feeling right now. And ultimately, I think that we got some very, very positive support, a lot of positive feedback, and people were very excited to jump in and support Idaho State Athletics with charitable gifts across sports and across sports clubs. So I think that's a testament to the really good work that our staff and our coaches and everyone in the athletic department who's been working so hard to keep things afloat. It's a testament to what you're doing and to how well people think about our student athletes. We've had some other good news. We've got men's and women's basketball schedules out. We've got a football schedule out, and we even have a volleyball and a soccer schedule out. So we've got all of the fall sports and winter sports accounted for. And I know that spring sports schedules are hopefully soon to be ratified by the Big Sky Conference, and we'll be getting those soon. So at least it feels right now like we know what our spring semester is going to look like. We're going to be on the court and on the field and moving forward, doing what we're supposed to be doing, carrying out our mission here in Bengal athletics. So those are very, very positive things, and we're excited to get going. So with those couple of tidbits, something to celebrate on each side, I think, I'd be really happy to take everyone's questions. And Ginny, I think that you have a little intro for us in terms of what the best way might be to handle questions.
Thanks, Pauline. Yes, absolutely. We'll do it similar to previous town halls. The only difference from previous is that it now says direct message instead of private message. So that's a little bit of a change you'll see on the Zoom update. Otherwise, we should be exactly the same, and we'll record this and get it on isu.edu/townhall for anybody who was unable to join us today. And then we'll get to your questions. Let's see. Okay, first question. I was excited to see the success of the Prepare to Roar campaign. Will this become an annual campaign? What did you hear back from the donors engaged in giving?
Sure, I believe that we will make this an annual campaign of sorts. So every year there's been an effort for many years, and always a successful effort, to renew sports club memberships. I think the thing that was different this year was the idea of a draft board, really engaging our coaches and staff in reaching out and asking for those gifts, and inviting a large number of donors to get involved. and not just at a specific membership level, but with a gift of any size. So I think that we want to continue to make as many people available to the opportunity as possible in the future. So I think that we will do it every year. We want to continue to have a different spin on it. We want to continue to make it fun. My favorite thing about the campaign this year is that it really was fun. And I think that's why Trey Harmon is smiling. I see him because I know he had fun, and the marketing team had fun producing a lot of the pieces that promoted the campaign. So we want to keep this going. You know, the donor feedback was excellent. Every time you send out a large mass email or do something on social media where you're requesting support, there are always some positive and some negative responses. The support was overwhelming. The responses were overwhelmingly positive. People saying, thank you for giving us the opportunity to do something to help Bengal athletics. We're anxious for games to start. People were happy to support. It was more than expected. So feeling very good about it, and absolutely we're going to keep giving people the opportunity to be part of the Bengal team.
Thanks, Colleen. Can you update us on the current testing situation for athletes?
Yes. So we actually next week are expecting delivery of 2 antigen testing machines and a supply of tests. Supply of tests will be delivered weekly in pretty precisely the amount that we'll need. For men's and women's basketball, the NCAA has recommended, and as has the Big Sky, that every student athlete receive 3 antigen tests a week on non-consecutive days. So the contract that we've entered with a vendor at, I think, a price that is much more palatable than the way that we can do PCR testing. We're going to be able to do that testing here in our own facilities, our own Idaho State University laboratory students and faculty and staff are going to help us to execute that testing so that all of the records will be in our university system and within the proper records for contact tracing. But we'll be able to do 30 tests in an hour, get those results back, and know how safe it is for our student athletes to be playing. And we'll be able to respond accordingly. We'll have to confirm any positive tests, but we'll have that testing capacity right here in our department. And we won't be taking valuable tests out of the community from other people who need them as well. So we're going to be ready to do testing at all of the recommended levels that the NCAA has mandated by next week in time for our first testing round for basketball. Right now, we've been testing 25% of our rosters with a PCR test every week per the guidelines for being out of season. And that's been going well. And we've been really pleased with just the level of compliance among student athletes, which is supported by the fact that we've had very, very few positive. So we'll be ready.
Great. Next question, Pauline. What do we know about budgets for programs and what we should be doing to be mindful of expenses and planning for our teams?
Well, we've reworked our budget this year, and every coach has received a new expense budget that it is very important for us to work within. And the guidance from the Central Finance Office has been to work within your expense budget. It's already been cut by approximately 6%, which we know will be an ongoing cut. But we've also been very mindful that there are functions that we haven't been executing. Some, there hasn't been recruiting activity. So we are not spending that money out of our budget. We'll be in a good budget position relative to expenses. But obviously, we're also very cognizant of the fact that we're not bringing in the revenue we have typically brought. We'll have a revenue generating spring to some extent, but you have to expect that the crowds will be limited and so on. So our approach has been to be very conscientious. We've worked together on all of our travel arrangements. We're maximizing trade. We're working well within our expense budget. And we have been very, very careful to make sure that we schedule regional trips that we're not doing anything extravagant in terms of non-conference competition if we're doing any non-con at all. So it's a little bit unorthodox the way that we've proceeded this year, but we'll be well within our expense budgets. We'll be going through a process university-wide beginning in January to submit new budgets. It will be a zero-based experience again. We'll take a look at our schedules and our needs, our recruiting needs, our equipment needs for the coming year. We'll budget according to those and submit that for approval across the university. But we will have a budget and we will have a revenue target that we'll need to meet for next year as well. So the process won't change a lot. It will start in January and we'll hope to have final budgets for next year by May. There has been no information about any additional cuts or holdbacks at the state level, but I think that we all have to be aware that the COVID dynamic is still at work, and everyone at the university should be aware that if enrollment is down extremely in the spring, that there could be more budget implications. Right now, I feel like we're looking very good, and we'll keep our fingers crossed and do everything we can in athletics to help drive enrollment as well.
Great, thanks, Pauline. Next question, what are the plans for Davis Field dedication? I saw that there will be a virtual ribbon cutting. Can you tell us more about the plans? And I saw on my drive-in this morning that the banners are down off the fence, so you can actually see in. So that was really exciting to see.
Davis Field is looking great, and there'll be a virtual ribbon cutting on November 19th at 1 p.m. And there's a link available on the isu.edu website to get to that. And there has been a lot of invitations emailed out, and I think that'll be forthcoming for faculty and staff as well if it hasn't gone out already. So there'll be some coaches and administrators and student athletes involved in making some remarks to celebrate that ribbon cutting. And then I know that in the future, that when we're all able to be together again, we've absolutely got to do something to gather at Davis Field and celebrate. But the project has gone extremely well. It was within budget. It is finishing up this month as expected, and we will be playing our inaugural soccer matches on Davis Field this spring and hosting outdoor track meets. And there's even a little bit of rumbling out there that the Simplot games, which couldn't be held in February, may still happen, and that will happen on Davis Field. So we're pretty excited to share that venue with the community. But November 19th, 1 p.m., it will be on YouTube. There'll be a virtual ribbon cutting. And there's no mute in the chat.
My mute got stuck. Sorry about that, Pauline. Next question. Davis Field is an exciting project. I know the Alumni Center is moving forward in whole arena parking lot. Can we expect more capital projects in the future after we get through COVID?
I think we have to, right? We want to keep growing. We want to keep undertaking capital projects. Athletics will actually be involved in the new Alumni Center. There will be a Hall of Champions, and our Sports Hall of Fame will be in that venue. It'll be a fantastic place to take recruits and begin tours, and a really appropriate home for so many of our trophies and memorabilia and the great stories of our alumni. So that's an exciting project for athletics, and I think will be a great venue for pre-game events and celebrations. Looking forward, there are a lot of capital needs. We need more indoor training space, whether it be for softball or for soccer or for football. You know, we've experienced being out in the cold, and we know the benefits of having more indoor space, and there are some options there being explored. We're looking at ways that we can create a simulated environment for our golf team. That would be a small capital project, but I think that's something that we're going to be able to accomplish. Now, we continue to pursue a major donor to help us renovate Holt Arena. The seats are in desperate need of updating, not only in color, but in structure, in accessibility, things of that nature. And we've completed a professional structure study to tell us how to accomplish that and what it will cost. And we're talking with donors about executing that now. And I continue to be optimistic that we will find a leadership partner for a basketball arena, which would address so many of our needs for space and also just be a great asset to our fan community and our students. So I do think that we have some challenges in getting through COVID, but all of those things continue to be on the burner for us. We've completed the studies and we'll keep talking to our constituents about the partnerships that can help bring those capital projects about. And in the meantime, we're successfully moving forward with a film room in Reed Gym. We've made some upgrades to lockers for men's tennis, and we'll be upgrading some additional locker rooms in the near future for some of our other teams. So we're not going to stop sprinkling in the small projects that really make our student athletes feel valued and elevate their experience, and continue to put the kind of polish on our program that you need to be competitive in a Division I environment.
Thanks, Molly. Next question. I'm hearing from fans that they are upset about not being able to watch upcoming games in person due to COVID. What advice do you have for those difficult conversations? What can we say to them?
Well, it's really tough. I've been getting a lot of those calls and emails too. And I think that the best that we can share is that, number one, many of our fans have chimed in to support Bengal athletic boosters or to purchase season tickets in advance. And we're absolutely going to make right every arrangement, whether that be through a refund or an application for the following year. We're going to take care of our fans who have expressed the desire to have season tickets. So there will be no issues in terms of refunding or making people whole who have made an investment. But it feels good that so many of them have said that is not the primary driver for them. The primary driver is that they so want to be at the games. So the best way through this health crisis is to put it behind us by being compliant, by following the protocols, by looking out for our public health. And we're going to have to do that for a short time. And I think we just have to urge people to be on board with us as we follow the health protocols and as we first and foremost make these seasons happen for our student athletes. We'll be doing everything we can to produce a quality game stream that they can take advantage of, including having our radio personnel calling the games as usual. Whether or not they can travel, they'll still be calling the games, even if they have to do that virtually. And let's engage our fans as much as we can by hosting virtual events. I was at a virtual town hall with men's basketball a couple of weeks ago with about 60 fans who came on, spoke with student athletes, spoke with coaches, and that was a great experience and a great way for them to engage. So I think my best advice is to share with people that all of us wish we could have full arenas, but that we need to do our part to control this pandemic. We're going to be delivering the content via stream, and that we're going to be creative and engage them in other ways in building relationships with our coaches and student athletes virtually as well. And my hope is that when the sun shines this spring, we'll be able to be together supporting our Bengals. And I'm also hopeful that for basketball season, we'll be able to have some fans before the year is over as well.
Thanks, Colleen. Next question. Can you tell us what you think the current situation of our student athletes' morale is?
And I think it's been really hard for our student athletes, coming off quarantine in the spring. I think they were so anxious to get back to the campus, and certainly have been in a better situation than the total stay-at-home order. But I think that they have struggled, as we hear about student athletes all across the country. I've had a lot of conversations one-on-one with student athletes that are they're frustrated that they can't be practicing and playing in their normal environment. They're getting to do that at a relatively high level because they can still train, they can still practice, but the social element of being a college student is completely absent. And I think that begins to erode your just emotional health and mood. And they've been struggling a lot with that. I feel for them because it is it's very different for all of us. But that being said, the resilience that they've shown and the grit and the great positive attitude and the fact that so many of them have taken this moment to take on projects. Our volleyball team is doing some work on diversity and inclusion later today. Our SAC is bringing together a group of students to talk about diversity and inclusion. They've undertaken a campaign across campus to increase awareness on mental health issues and to create an environment where people feel comfortable talking about their mental health. They've taken on some projects to do some good in this moment, and I've been really proud of them. And they've all been very complimentary of the communication and efforts of the coaches and the faculty working with them and helping across the student body to make this experience as good as it can be under the circumstances. So certainly to say they're excited about their situation, being what it is, would be telling a tall tale. But to say that they're optimistic about the spring and that they've really hung in there and done a great job, I think that's very, very accurate.
Thanks, Pauline. This next is a comment, not a question. I don't have a question. I just want to say thanks for your regular department emails and holding down these town hall meetings. They are very helpful to me in my role.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad they're helpful, and there's nothing I love like being able to talk with our Bengals. We have an outstanding group here, and I'm pretty appreciative to be part of this university and this staff.
Thanks, Pauline. Next question. We're hearing across campus that more and more students are choosing to stream to classes online. Do we find that our student athletes are doing the same? Are they feeling engaged with their professors? Is this just the status quo from getting this far into the semester during COVID? Any thoughts? Question mark.
Well, I think that we have seen more of our students taking the route of online classes, or not online classes, but the virtual opportunity when they have the choice. And there's a number of reasons for that. I think that it's a little bit habitual. I think that when you have one class in the morning that's virtual, and then one class that's in person, and then you return to your dorm for one that's virtual, students will tend, if they have the option, to just stay and do all things virtual that day. But also, we have so been imparting on our students the need not to gather, the need to stay safe, the fact that many of them have experienced a 2-week quarantine because of a positive case or a known exposure on their team has made them that much more conscientious about just wanting to protect themselves, protect their season, protect their training. So we are seeing that in general across campus, and I think we're also seeing it across the Department of Athletics. For us, the most important response to that has been to be reaching out to those students, making sure that they're engaged. I think our coaches have been more engaged than ever with academics, checking in with students, doing class checks, whether by Zoom or in person, communicating with our academic team to make sure student athletes are attending their meetings and providing the information they need to provide and getting their study hall hours in. Things like providing the resources for them to be able to attend online at a high level so that they're not attending on their phone, but they can check out a laptop, or if they need a hotspot. Things of that nature are going to be really important for us to continue to be conscientious about. But it seems that the virtual delivery is, it's not everyone's first choice, but at some point, it becomes effective to stay healthy. And so we're trying to make the best of it in our department.
Thanks, Pauline. Next question. What are you hearing from your counterparts across the Big Sky? How is Idaho State managing COVID-19 in comparison? Is there anything else we need to be doing that other institutions are doing?
Well, everybody is taking a pretty similar approach. And the thing about working with the athletic directors in the Big Sky this year is that it's been extremely collaborative. So probably every week we meet as a group at least twice as a full group, but as individual committees, we're meeting 3 or 4 times as administrators in the Big Sky and comparing protocols. And there is a health protocol that all of us are bound to, that is a minimum standard. So I don't think that there are extreme differences. 8 of us are doing the same antigen testing program, 8 of the 11 schools, as we are. So a lot of that is very, very uniform. I will say that I think we've had fewer cases than our peers in the Big Sky in terms of positives. I will say that we have had probably a higher level of activity and practice and access than many of our peers, either because their situation in their state isn't allowing contact or because their institutions have not been allowing a high degree of practice or training. So I think that we're doing really, really well in terms of the service that we're delivering to our student athletes, allowing them to be as active as possible. I know that we're keeping them safe because the cases have been minimal for what we've undertaken. And I feel very, very good that as we compare ourselves to others in the Big Sky, we're doing a great job keeping our students safe. I think that there are schools that have a little bit more money than we do, more resources, and they're investing that in, their preseason competitions and the kinds of places that they're going to play their non-conference games. But for us, we've chosen to invest those resources at home and be very, very fiscally responsible. So I think we're doing everything that we can, and our staff and this group of people on this call are doing it very, very well.
Thanks, Pauline. What would you like us to keep in mind as we work to finish out this semester?
Boy, keep your student athletes in mind. Keep them at the center of everything. I think that it's important to understand that this has been very hard for them and frustrating as it has been for us. And make sure that all other things aside that we have to do, all of the protocols and all of the things on campus that we have to manage, and the way that our thoughts will wander to the spring, keep in mind how much they need our communication constantly and our support right now and our engagement. Conversations with your coach, conversations with your entire staff, our coaching staff reaching out to parents and families to let them know things are on track, to encourage them that a season is coming in the spring. I think that personal relationship and rapport that we have with our student athletes is more important now than ever, that they know that they have our support. They've had tremendous support from the university community and the faculty. And as we've just seen, they've had great support from the constituents in the community. So as easy as it is for all of us to get mired down on all of the things on our desks and all of the calls coming in and all of the voices, they still are the center of our mission, and staying focused on them is still the very most important thing that we do.
Thanks, Pauline. That's all I'm seeing now for questions. Unless one comes in the next few minutes or a few seconds, I'll plan to take any offline that come in later, but can I turn it over to you now and we'll do any closing remarks?
Sure. Well, in closing, I just reiterate by saying we're doing well. We have a healthy student athlete population. We have teams that are looking with great optimism towards competition this spring. We've been very fiscally responsible, and we're going to be able to execute the things that we need to execute. And our fans and constituents have been extremely patient and extremely supportive. All of those are very good signs, not just about how we're managing a crisis, but they're good signs about what our foundation is like and how people feel and what they believe about Bengal athletics. And that tells me that as we come out of this challenging year, things are going to be very, very good. So I have great optimism, and I have absolutely profound appreciation for the people in this department who have worked very, very diligently under difficult situations to continue to move forward in our mission. So my message as I close today is just appreciation. Very grateful for our kids, for our university, and for this staff that has been moving our department forward.
Hey, Pauline, thank you.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks for joining.